No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of both WWE NXT and AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday. It was a very eventful night. The first time in a while we've had WWE and AEW both head to head on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. Both shows were great, in my opinion. From what I saw, I did manage to watch both shows at the same time. It was not easy. It was quite difficult, but from what I saw, both companies delivered. And before we get started with this recap, I just wanted to say that I think the winner was everyone. Everyone won. The fans won. I think AEW won because WWE stacked their NXT show big time in order to potentially beat AEW in television viewership. And WWE won because they got what is likely their largest audience ever for NXT. I would not be shocked if NXT draws around 1 million viewers or maybe even more. And it's good for WWE to have the NXT numbers up when it comes to renewing the rights for Raw and NXT as a potential package deal. I think everybody won tonight. So whether you're a fan of both companies or you're a fan of WWE or you're a fan of AEW, it was a great night. It definitely was a nice throwback to the Monday Night War period when both companies were putting out their absolute best effort. And that's what I really felt about this show. I respectfully disagree with Robbie. He says AEW was effing boring and NXT was a massive win. I think AEW put on some really great matches, and we actually had title changes on this show. It was not filler content by any means. Now, let's get started with this. AEW had a buy-in. So first, WWE announced the first 30 minutes of NXT was going to be commercial free. And then Tony Khan announced that the first 30 minutes of Dynamite would be commercial free. Then Tony Khan announced a 30-minute buy-in for Dynamite. Crazy stuff here, in my opinion. The buy-in match was Eddie Kingston versus, man, we're live here and I'm already forgetting his name. Somebody help me here. It's been a long night. I had a lot to watch and I'm already forgetting his name. Suzuki, I think his name is. Hopefully I got that right, but somebody in the chat room, help me out. I need you guys to help me out when I screw up, when I blank live. I need you guys to fill me in. Michael Wayne, where are you? I need your help here. We're live, pal. Suzuki, I think is his name. Anyways, they were chopping each other a lot. It was a good match, but exactly what you would expect from these guys. And Eddie kept getting punched in the face. He kept getting back up. Minoru Suzuki, thank you for that super Gotenks. I appreciate that. Eddie Kingston won. No surprise here. Picked up the win. He hit 2 spinning back fists, and Suzuki still kicked out. And he did pick up the win with the Northern Lights bomb. And then after the match, the two of them had a show of respect, and they chopped each other a couple more times out of respect, and then they hugged each other. So nice little start here to get the fans warmed up, get everybody hyped up for the show. Now, Tony Khan did announce that Jon Moxley was not cleared for his international title opportunity against Rey Fenix. They should have announced this sooner, but they were probably waiting to see if he would be cleared the day of the show. The sign that Moxley was not going to be doing the match was he was scheduled for a match over the weekend on Sunday, and he was not cleared for that. And I'm thinking to myself, doesn't seem like he's going to be cleared by Tuesday. And they were still advertising the match. So a little bit of a bait and switch, but I will say they made good on it. And I'll get to that here in just a minute. Robbie with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Robbie. Says AEW looked drab. NXT had better presentation. Well, I agree on that. I mean, WWE's production is top notch, and really no wrestling company ever, has been able to reach WWE's level as far as production. WWE is just top tier. I will say this week they ran a smaller building, and I think that it helped. It definitely looked better than some of the previous Dynamite and Collision episodes. And I thought it looked decent. It definitely didn't have the flair of WWE's production, but it looked good, especially compared to some of the other weeks as of late for AEW. Now, AEW started with Christian Cage hyping up Strickland versus Bryan Danielson, Luchasaurus versus Adam Copeland, and then he also said he would explain his 3 words, the "go F yourself," to Adam Copeland last week, and he did bring up the commercial-free aspect of Dynamite for the first 30 minutes. Meanwhile, over on NXT, we had Cody Rhodes coming out. The crowd was red hot for this, by the way, and I heard that people were actually turned away. There were so many fans trying to get in for this show. Huge demand, as you would expect, with all the main roster stars being there. And Cody brought up Dusty and said that there will be the return of the Dusty Classic, but that wasn't his only announcement. He did announce that he was also, for one night, the special guest general manager of NXT. Ilya Dragonov, the world champion of NXT, showed up, and I guess it's his birthday too. It was Tony Khan's birthday and Dragonov's birthday on the same day when they're going head to head. That's crazy. Now, anyways, Dragonov talked about pushing NXT to the next level, and we had an interruption. I mean, it's WWE, so you got to have the interruption. Dominik and Rhea Ripley. Dominik getting booed out of the building. Crowd was chanting, "Whoop that trick." And Dominik wanted a title match against Dragonov. And Dragonov accepted. And Cody Rhodes, since he was the general manager, he had a little surprise. There was going to be a special guest referee, the one and only LA Knight. Yeah. That was set up for later on in the show. And then over on AEW Dynamite, we had Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. And this was a great match. They got close to 20 minutes here. No commercial breaks. They did a lot of mat wrestling. Then things started to pick up. The intensity picked up. You had Strickland targeting the back of Bryan. He gave him a sidewalk slam on the apron, and then Strickland went for a 450 splash, but Bryan got his knees up. Bryan started with his offense, the yes kicks, the chops. Swerve regained the upper hand for a while. He hit the Swerve stomp to Bryan on the apron, and then Bryan made another comeback. He had a top rope suplex. He started to kick in the head of Swerve, but Swerve was able to get to the ropes when Bryan went for a submission. And Bryan, his liver was hurting him, and Swerve took advantage of this. Swerve hit the house call kick and then came off the top with another Swerve stomp. But Bryan was able to kick out. The match continued. And then Prince Nana tried to interfere. He got on the apron. He had his crown. Hangman Adam Page showed up, took the crown away from Swerve, and Bryan was able to pick up the victory with the running knee. And I know some people thought that maybe Swerve should have won here, but Christian Cage is the champion, and now Danielson gets a title match with Christian. In this sense, you want to have the babyface win the match. And remember, Bryan's on a roll right now. He beat Okada. He beat Zack Sabre Jr. Bryan is arguably the top babyface right now, along with MJF. And, they're sending him up for Collision. They're trying to get the Collision numbers up. So, this was a big win for Bryan, and they got a big match set up for this Saturday's Collision, which I do plan on recapping. After a few weeks, I will be back this Saturday night. If you guys are enjoying this so far, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube and leave a comment on the YouTube comment section. Let me know your favorite moment of this evening, whether it was something from NXT or something from AEW Dynamite. We had Roxanne Perez versus Asuka over on NXT. And Shotzi was out there on commentary. She came down with her tank. They were bringing back some of the old NXT stars from years ago. And it started off friendly at first, got a little bit more intense. They slapped each other a little bit. And Asuka dominated a good part of the match, but then Roxanne got in some offense, hit a dive to the outside, several near falls. Roxanne was able to escape the Asuka lock, but then Asuka caught her with a kick, picked up the victory. Roxanne had a good showing against the veteran in Asuka, and they mentioned that Asuka's undefeated streak in NXT has continued. Now, after the match, Asuka left, and then Kiana James tried to attack Roxanne, but Shotzi laid out Kiana James. So we got a little bit of physicality from Shotzi. I was going to say Shotzi Blackheart. I guess for one night only, she was Shotzi Blackheart again. We had Paul Heyman arriving, and then back over to AEW, we had a Samoa Joe video package. He's still coming for MJF, said he's soon to be AEW World Champion. And we also had a skit with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Cole still needs to have his surgery, but Roderick Strong needed help mowing the lawn. This was pretty entertaining, and Cole kept trying to leave, but then when the segment ended, Strong said he has one more thing for Adam Cole to do. And I guess we're gonna have this over the next several weeks. I'm not sure how long it's gonna be able to drag out. I guess until Cole's ready to return, which might not be for a while, unfortunately. And Tony Storm had some segments, and Matthew brought this up. Tony Storm had a series of silent films, and they were shown during the picture-in-picture, which, was a good opportunity to see what was going on NXT. Even though I'm enjoying the Tony Storm character, the segments were basically an invitation to watch what's going on for NXT. We had Chris Jericho versus Powerhouse Hobbs. And I really liked this because this is a way to get Hobbs over. Forget about Action Andretti beating Chris Jericho. Powerhouse Hobbs beating Jericho, I think, has a lot more potential to mean something long-term. This was almost like Brock Lesnar versus John Cena from SummerSlam 2014. Hobbs was just hitting spine buster after spine buster. Jericho briefly fought back, hit a code breaker, but Hobbs easily kicked out. and he tried to put on the walls of Jericho. Hobbs was able to get out of that, and then Hobbs power slammed Jericho and got the 1-2-3 victory. And both Robbie and Colin are not convinced that Hobbs can be salvaged at this point. But this was the best thing they've done with Hobbs. It could be, but this is a step in the right direction. Like, now he did this and they did not blow it. They definitely blew it with Action Andretti. Like that win ultimately meant absolutely nothing. This could be Hobbs's chance to break out of the pack. But will they capitalize, or will he go back to jobbing out in a couple of weeks? Who knows? Rage of Wrestling, Walter Cruz sent in a generous $15 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. I appreciate it. He said, can we just enjoy the fact that this existed in 2023? Let's not do the tribalism of one company over the other. Let's just enjoy professional wrestling as a whole. It's the sport we all love and enjoy. I agree, but at the same time, just like sports, fans like to have their team that they root for, and it is fun to pick a favorite, but at the same time, you can also like both companies and like what both companies have to offer. And I thought both shows were great, like I said. So I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to the push of Powerhouse Hobbs. But this was a step in the right direction, and I thought this was very well done. We had a 6-man match over on NXT. We had the Brawling Brutes and Tyler Bate against Gallus. Now, I don't really know the Gallus guys very well, but this was a very entertaining match, very WWE style, lots of weapons and lots of chaos. Enjoyable stuff here. Like they had a table with beer and various food items, and we had a fire extinguisher, bowling ball. Butch used these darts on the fingers of one of the Gallus guys. So it was very entertaining. Almost, like a Three Stooges movie with all the props and stuff, but it was very entertaining. And they had all 6 guys brawling, and we had a triple 10 beats. And Gallus did get the upper hand for a while. At one point, Butch got sent into the steps, and then Butch got put through a table. But then Joe Coffey, I believe, had a beer, and Tyler Bate took it away. He then smashed it in Coffey's face. He smashed the beer in Coffey's face, and then the Brawling Brutes and Tyler Bate delivered a triple power bomb to Coffey, and Tyler Bate got the 1-2-3 victory. I was very entertained from this. I really enjoyed this match. And man, I'd love to see Tyler Bate join the Brawling Brutes after this. Like, put him on the main roster. It's long overdue, in my opinion. We had a video package hyping up Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyrie, I think is how you pronounce her name. They actually have some history together going back to like 2018. And then Tegan Nox approached her backstage and said that the title match has to wait. She wants another opportunity at Becky, but Lyra said no. Lyra said that this is the biggest match of her career coming up at Halloween Havoc, and nobody is getting in her way. But Tegan Nox is going to be on NXT next week, so they're continuing to have the main roster stars appearing on NXT. Back over to AEW Dynamite, we had Orange Cassidy versus Rey Fenix for the International Championship. Orange Cassidy taking the place of Jon Moxley. In this match, Fenix was delivering his usual offense, but his back was giving him issues. He tried to do a German suplex, and then Cassidy sent Fenix back first into the barricade and then back first into the ring post. So Orange Cassidy was exploiting the injury, as you would if you're trying to win a championship, and Orange Cassidy had a very lengthy reign as champion. Fenix, though, kept fighting. He kicked out of a spinning DDT, and then Fenix countered the orange punch with a kick, but then his back was giving him trouble again. Orange Cassidy capitalized. He hit the beach break. Fenix kicked out of that, but then Orange Cassidy hit the orange punch and got the 1-2-3 victory to regain the International Championship. Now, as far as the hot potato comment goes, I give them a pass on this because Jon Moxley got hurt. Like, that screwed up plans. Moxley was supposed to beat Fenix, and then he got hurt, so they called an audible, and Moxley wasn't cleared for this. I think Moxley was probably going to win back the title here, but he got hurt, so Orange Cassidy's once again champion. And I suppose they could always do one more match with Cassidy versus Moxley, or even do a triple threat for the title. I don't have a problem with the title change. And in a way, I think it was the right call because of the substitution. And this was something that WWE would do. Like, if somebody got hurt and there was a substitute, they would do a title change. Instance would be Big Show. When Steve Austin got hurt at Survivor Series 99, Big Show was his replacement. People were disappointed with that, but they did the title change to make good on it, so there was still something significant that happened despite Austin not being there. So I think it was the right call. Yeah, it sucks to have another title change, but I think in this case it was the right call. We had John Cena coming out over on NXT. Crowd was singing John Cena's song, and he said it's the most street cred he's had in 15 years. He talked about NXT making history. Crowd chanted, "Thank you, Cena." And one guy was chanting, "Cena sucks." And Cena gave the guy a shout out and appreciated the honesty. You got to love John Cena. That was a great moment. And he said, everybody wants to visit NXT. They are all NXT. Bron Breakker showed up. Of course, interruption, typical WWE segment. And he said that they all came to see him. And by the way, the crowd was singing Bron Breakker sucks to the tune of John Cena. That was great. And Cena said that Breakker is very gifted, but his weakness is his attitude, and he lacks respect. Cena wished Breakker luck, though, in the match against Carmelo and offered a handshake. Breakker responded by punching Cena in the face, and Cena fought back, went for an AA. Breakker managed to slip out of the ring. Good segment here, and the crowd was awesome. Bron Breakker gets to work with John Cena, sets up the main event, main event segment. World title was not the main event. Since John Cena's in the main event, you got to have that on last, plus the aftermath, which we'll get to here shortly. Shanti is cooler than you, sent a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Shanti. I appreciate it. Says, I'm a fan of NoDQ for being able to recap these things since I can't get it live in Hawaii. And he says, mahalo, NoDQ and Aaron T-Bar. Well, thank you for that, Shanti. And I guess thank you for the little middle name reference. Hope you're doing well in Hawaii. We had a squash match over on AEW Dynamite. It was Wardlow versus Matt Sidell. Kind of funny this was happening when Cena was out on NXT, because at one point in history, Sidell teamed up with John Cena. And now he's jobbing out to Wardlow. Wardlow just destroyed the guy. Powerbombed him multiple times. Referee called off the match. Wardlow stormed off again. I kind of feel bad for Matt Sidell, but yeah, I mean, that's basically his role at this point, putting over other people. And, the rehab of Wardlow continues. Like Hobbs, we'll see how long it lasts. And a comment from Facebook, who had the better show? Well, you're going to have to wait till the end. I'm not going to spoil it now. The only thing I've said so far is both shows were great. Did I have a preference? You have to wait and find out. We had Daniel Garcia checking out Chris Jericho because Jericho had been destroyed by Hobbs. And Matt Menard appeared and was basically like, what the hell are you doing? And Garcia was like, well, Jericho is my friend. So the plot thickens here with the former Jericho Appreciation Society members. WWE fan 2000 Geo sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, I thought both shows were a home run. What a time to be a wrestling fan. Great review. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for that comment. And yes, I do agree. Both shows were great. Both companies put on their best effort, and that's very much appreciated. And it made for a fun evening for sure. And getting all the feedback and comments and seeing all the trends on social media. We had Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. Jay White is the number one contender for the AEW World title. He's got the title match at Full Gear. He has the title in his physical possession. Now, this was a very good match here between these guys. You had the Bullet Club Gold out there, so they were interfering. Page powerbombed White on the apron and then got him in the ring, went for the Deadeye, but White was able to target the knee and then dropped Page knee first on the apron. Page was able to make a comeback. He had a fall-away slam off the top, but his knee was still giving him problems. And he tried to go for a buckshot lariat, but White was able to counter with a dragon screw. And then Page with another comeback. He had a moonsault to the outside, got him back in the ring. White once again targeted the knee, but Page was able to stay in the fight. He was not able to hit the buckshot lariat, but he did bust out a Deadeye. White kicked out of it, and then sensing their guy was in trouble, Bullet Club Gold got on the apron, and then Prince Nana interfered because of what happened earlier in Swerve's match, and that allowed White to roll up Page, grab onto the trunks, and pick up the 1-2-3 victory. So big win for Jay White. No surprise here that White was winning since he's facing MJF for the world title. My voice cracking here. Better drink some more water. So yeah, this made sense. And you continue the Adam Page storyline with Swerve. Now, after the match, we had MJF show up on the stage. He wanted his title back, and the crowd was chanting, "Give it back." Jay White refused, though. MJF said that Jay is using Bullet Club Gold, and MJF knows because he used to be like Jay. He's trying to be a better person now. He said the title is his livelihood, his legacy. He told Jay White to be a man and show some dignity. They all responded by laughing at him, and White said that he had an idea. Maybe they could do a tag match. If MJF could find 3 people to team with him, maybe he'll get his title back. And they also hyped up the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal, which is next week. We're actually getting 2 Battle Royals. More on that in a second here. The other one is NXT. But Juice Robinson got on the mic, and this was quite the controversial line. He said that he had a roll of quarters, and it had the name Friedman on it. He actually showed the quarters and said he's going to break MJF's jaw with the quarters. MJF responded, he was furious, and he said that if Robinson tries to do that, MJF will end his life. And he called him a piece of shit. Now, a few weeks ago, there was a fan that had a sign at Dynamite that said, "Hey, MJF, I dropped a quarter." And people were shitting on this guy for that sign. They thought it was really bad taste, really inappropriate. And this segment, like, under normal circumstances, I think people would find it questionable. I mean, it's definitely heat, but there's a situation going on in the Middle East right now, and the timing of it was probably not ideal, considering what's going on in the Middle East. So I don't think this was the right time to do this segment. And, it's going to generate some bad publicity for AEW. And right now, they do not need the bad publicity. So I liked everything Jay White was doing, but I think they could have done without the roll of quarters line. I just don't think the timing was right, considering what's going on in the world right now. People watch wrestling to be distracted from the real world stuff that's going on. So they don't want a reminder of that. And I just think it was a bad call. But overall, I did like the segment minus the end of it. So I'll leave it at that. And, even if MJF signed off on it, I still think it was in bad taste to do it right now under the circumstances. So back on NXT, the family proposed an idea to determine number 1 contenders for their tag team titles. And they proposed a Bada Bing Battle Royal, which Cody Rhodes, because he's authority for 1 week, he accepted and said it was a great idea. So next week on NXT, we have a Bada Bing Battle Royal. And then on Dynamite, we have the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. So they're kind of still going head to head, not directly, but they're going to have similar battle royals on next week's show. We had a Baron Corbin backstage interview, and he talked about how Dragonov has been ducking him. And Dragonov said that, Corbin said that Dragonov is not giving a title match to the guy who actually deserves it, which is him, Baron Corbin. And before he could finish his thoughts, LA Knight's music hit. So that's definitely a way to get a pop. LA Knight way over. Of course, they were chanting for him. We had Dragonov defending the NXT championship against Dominik Mysterio. Like, under normal circumstances, this would be the main event. This would be a huge main event for Dynamite, for NXT. But, this was such a stacked show that it wasn't even the main event, and it was the world title match. Now, Rhea Ripley was out there, and she distracted LA Knight and Dominik with the old thumb to the eyes. But Dragonov made a comeback. He was chopping the crap out of Dominik. Dominik tried to chop Dragonov back, and at that moment, he knew he done goofed. And the crowd chanted, "You effed up." Of course, we got the censoring of the chants, which was kind of annoying. Dragonov chopped Dominik some more, Dominik was able to eventually get the upper hand, and he hit a 619, but Dragonov kicked out. And then Dragonov was on the verge of winning. He hit the H-bomb, but then Finn Balor showed up. LA Knight punched Balor, and while this was going on, JD McDonough tried to interfere, but LA Knight took out him. He hit him with the BFT, and then Rhea Ripley attempted to hit Dragonov with the championship, but then Trick Williams grabbed Rhea Ripley and carried her away, and Dragonov was able to pin Dominik and retain his championship. Very entertaining stuff. You know, they made great use of LA Knight, and you got Judgment Day out there. It was a lot of fun. Like, definitely elevated Dragonov. And yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot. Very good stuff here from these guys. And then we had Jade Cargill showing up, which I guess is officially her first TV appearance. Like, the kickoff show, I suppose, was her first appearance, although it was the kickoff and not the actual main show. But this was her first time on broadcast television for WWE, arriving in NXT, and Shawn Michaels was there to greet her and shake her hand. So there you go. Jade Cargill starting to make the rounds. We'll see where she ends up. And then Baron Corbin was approaching Cody Rhodes, trying to get his match against Dragonov. I forgot to mention that Corbin came down to the ring after Dragonov's match, but Dijak attacked Dragonov from behind and told Corbin he beat him to the punch. And then we had the segment with Cody and Corbin, and then Cody decided to make a triple threat match for next week, which would be Dijak versus Corbin versus the winner of Carmelo versus Bron Breakker. We had over on AEW Dynamite, Hikaru Shida challenging Saraya for the women's championship. Now, over on WWE, it's kind of funny. We had women's matches on at the same time. On NXT, we had Dani Palmer versus Lola Vice, and I think this might have been the first time I've seen either of them wrestle. Match was fine, but to be fair, I was more invested in Saraya and Shida. It was a pretty basic match from what I could tell on NXT. Vice won with a spin kick to the face, and Elektra Lopez celebrated the victory with her. They danced around a little bit. But over on AEW, you had Ruby Soho trying to interfere. And here's what's interesting. I thought Toni Storm was a heel, but maybe not. Toni Storm came out there to take care of Ruby Soho and ran her off to the back. So it was back to being one-on-one. And Toni attacked Ruby with a shoe. Now, Shida got in a lot of offense on Saraya, gave her a German suplex on the floor, Meteora off the apron, got her back in the ring, hit a running knee, but Saraya kicked out. Saraya then recovered, hit the nightcap DDT. Shida kicked out of it, and then Saraya went for a kendo stick. Referee took it away. Saraya was able to hit a second nightcap, but once again, Shida kicked out. Crowd was chanting, "Holy Shida," and Shida managed to hit a Falcon Arrow, but Saraya reversed it. However, Shida reversed the reversal and got the 1-2-3 victory to become the new AEW Women's Champion. The first ever 3-time AEW Women's Champion. Now, I have to say, I was a little surprised by this. I was not expecting Shida to win the title. I'm not really sure why the title change, unless they just wanted to have Saraya win it at Wembley and then have her be a transitional champion and have Shida win it back. I don't know if that was their long-term plan or not. Maybe it was. But yeah, I do feel like they are starting to hot potato the women's championship a little bit. Anyways, I'm happy for Shida. Like, she's way over with the AEW fans. And, big moment for her. But who challenges her now? Who's next in line? Like 3 or 4 months ago, I would have said Jade Cargill, but Jade's gone. So who do you have now step up to the plate to face Shida for the championship? And you also have Chris Statlander as the other champion. Comment here in the chat room, maybe it's Mercedes Moné. That very well could be it. Maybe Mercedes comes in and is going to go for the women's championship. That would make sense. We had back on NXT a Chase U segment. JC Jane was there, and they were talking about the Bada Boom Battle Royal coming up next week. And then Paul Heyman was backstage with Bron Breakker. Very interesting here. Heyman gave some motivation to Bron. Heyman said that he's worked with Bron's father and uncle, and Bron has the best attributes of both guys, and said that Bron is going to be a future WrestleMania main eventer. Big endorsement from Heyman. And Bron said he's going to break them all. He left, and then Paul Heyman said, he picked up his phone and he said, call Roman Reigns. So the plot thickened here leading into the main event segment. They could definitely have Heyman as a Bron Breakker guy one day. Back on AEW, Chris Jericho was taken to a hospital, according to Excalibur. And then Renee Paquette interviewed MJF backstage. He said the old MJF would be freaking out, but he's not in the mood to be interviewed. He wanted to call his boy to get advice. And this time, Adam Cole actually answered the phone, but there was bad reception, and MJF could not really get the advice he needed. Then the Acclaimed showed up. Max Caster volunteered them to team up against Bullet Club Gold, but MJF just stormed off. Like, he doesn't like Max Caster hitting on him and saying all these goofy things to him. Billy Gunn was not really sure what to make of all this, and Max had to assure Billy that they've been friends for a long time. He knows MJF and thought he could help out a friend. We had a Brian Pillman Jr. vignette, and this was clearly Brian Pillman Jr. Not that there was any doubt before, but they were very subtle, showing his likeness, and this time he's right there in front of the camera. And he talked about his dad, has fond memories, but lost him at 4 years old. Never really actually got to know the guy as a father, only the wrestler. And he said that the last thing he ever wanted to be was a WWE wrestler, be in the industry, period. But it's in his blood. It's been in his blood since birth. And he said he had no choice to embrace the wrestling business. And he said that he doesn't want to be known as a Pillman because he wants people to think of him, not his dad, when they see his face. And thus, he's not going to use the Pillman name. He said he's taken the name of his real father figure, King, and that will be his name going forward. I thought this was a really good segment, and I know some people were having mixed feelings about him using a different name and not being Brian Pillman Jr., but at least they had a good reason to do it here. They acknowledged he's Brian Pillman's son, but he doesn't want that to be his legacy. He doesn't want to use the Pillman name. So I think they did a very good job explaining this as to why he's not going to use the Pillman name. And I agree. Like, I've already had more investment in Brian Pillman Jr. or Lexus King than I did pretty much during his entire AEW run. Like, I felt there was a short period, like right around the time they started bringing back crowds, that they could have done something, but they never really capitalized on him, in my opinion. We also had Asuka meeting with various women in NXT, including Blair Davenport and Tiffany Stratton, and Stratton was kind of disrespectful to the other women. Then we had the NXT main event of the evening. Paul Heyman introduced Bron Breakker for the match against Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo was great here. Like, he came off with a springboard clothesline. The guy moves with lightning quickness. Bron Breakker did slow the pace down for a while. And then Bron got a little bit too cocky. He did the "you can't see me." That allowed Carmella to catch him with a super kick. He had a cutter, but Breakker kicked out. Breakker regained control and tried to use the steel steps, but John Cena took the steps away. Then Solo Sikoa showed up. I guess that call worked very quickly. I mean, I suppose it makes sense if Solo Sikoa lives in Orlando. Solo Sikoa went after Cena, but Cena fought back, and they brawled into the backstage area. Meanwhile, in the ring, Carmelo hit the nothing but net, the top rope scissors kick, and got the 1-2-3 victory over Bron Breakker. So he'll get that match next week, that triple threat opportunity to potentially get an NXT World Title match. And then afterwards, Bron Breakker attacked Carmelo with a spear. He got on the mic and he said that there is only one true badass in WWE. We heard the bell. It's like Beetlejuice. You say his name, you summon him. The American Badass Undertaker showed up. And he came out riding his bike. Crowd was chanting, "Holy shit," getting censored by USA Network. Bron Breakker got on the mic and called Undertaker an old timer, said there's only one badass, and that's him. The crowd chanted, "You effed up." That got censored also. And Undertaker responded by saying that, yes, Bron Breakker is going to be a big deal one day, but this wasn't his day. And then Undertaker attacked Breakker, left him laying with a choke slam, and then got on the mic again and said there's always a bigger badass around the corner. And Bron Breakker just met the biggest badass of them all. Great segment here. And as mentioned in the chat room, huge night for Bron Breakker and Carmelo. They got to share the ring with John Cena, Paul Heyman, and The Undertaker. I think NXT went off the air, but Undertaker did raise the hand of Carmelo. I think it went off the air. I'm not sure if it was shown on TV or not. But yeah, big moment for these guys to be able to work with the top names. And now we move over to the final segment of Dynamite. We had Christian Cage come into the ring with Luchasaurus. Christian cut a promo explaining why he told Adam Copeland to go F himself. Christian said that when he was not getting his push. He was being held back. Adam Copeland was being pushed to the moon, yet at that time, Adam Copeland wanted nothing to do with a tag team. And now Adam's career is on the downslope while Christian is climbing to new heights. And Christian said the fact of the matter is Adam needs him. He doesn't need Adam. And then he made it personal. He said that Beth Phoenix is a huge fan of his, and he had a message to their kids. He said that their new father is coming home. Christian was great here. Another fantastic promo from him. And then Adam Copeland came down to the ring for the match. Buddy Wayne grabbed his leg when he got in the ring, and Luchasaurus took advantage. Before the bell even rang, he was beating the crap out of him. Adam was selling his neck, and the referee was checking on him, and Adam, he was refusing to forfeit, so the match began, and for a long time, Luchasaurus was beating the hell out of Adam Copeland, gave him a tombstone. Adam kicked out of that. Christian was watching on the ramp, and eventually Adam Copeland was able to make his comeback. He hit an impaler, but Luchasaurus kicked out. He went for a spear. Christian got up out of his chair, and then Nick Wayne set up a chair in the corner while the referee was distracted. Adam went for a spear, but he missed, went into the chair, and then Luchasaurus choke slammed Adam. 1, 2, kick out. Oh, I screwed up again. I meant Nick Wayne, not Buddy Wayne. I keep doing that. I really need to stop that. RIP to Buddy Wayne, by the way. So Luchasaurus hit the choke slam, and Adam was able to kick out of that. Good near fall here. They did the chair spot and the choke slam, and Adam kicked out of that. Good near fall here. And then they fought on the outside of the ring. Edge jumped off the steel steps to take down Luchasaurus, got him back in the ring. Christian tried to hit Adam with the TNT Championship, but Adam took the title away, hit Luchasaurus while the referee was distracted with Nick Wayne. So the plan backfired. Adam handed the title back to Christian. Luchasaurus thought Christian hit him with the title, so he was thrown off. And then Adam hit the spear and got the 1, 2, 3 victory. No surprise here that Adam won his first AEW match, but very good match here, and I thought they did a great job with everything. And after the match, the attack continued, and then Bryan Danielson ran down to make the save, and then multiple people ran down. This was like an old WCW Nitro ending where you had all sorts of people brawling. You had Adam Page out there with Swerve, and then in the ring, you had the label lock applied to Christian, and Christian was tapping out as Dynamite went off the air. So they did a big angle here to set up Saturday's Collision show, which I will be doing a live recap of. So make sure you guys check that out this Saturday night. All right. So that's it. I said everything about both shows. I forgot to mention, I must have missed this because of Dynamite. But apparently Paul Heyman met up with The Rock's daughter. I'll have to go back and check that out. I guess that's one significant segment I missed. But I think I got pretty much the main stuff here. I might have missed a few segments here and there, but I did the best I could to recap both shows. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As far as which show was better, I mean, this is going to be a cop-out, but I'm going with an A for both shows. I think both shows were fantastic, and I think both companies delivered big time. And it was just, they were both different. You know, AEW was definitely more wrestling heavy, but it felt like a mini pay-per-view. And they had that commercial free, like I think 45 minutes was commercial free. And I give them credit for delivering pay-per-view quality matches. So, you know, that did give AEW a little bit of an edge, so to speak. But, you know, WWE brought it as far as the entertainment goes and the production values and having the main roster stars interact with the NXT guys. Like it elevated those guys. Both shows were very successful in my opinion. So I'm not gonna pick a favorite here. I think both shows were great. And I recommend both of them. Definitely give both of them your time. And I think they're both worth watching. I mean, I think Dynamite was one of their best episodes ever. And maybe the best NXT episode of all time. Like I don't remember an NXT episode that I was more invested in, that's for sure. And one that had more star power. So, you know, as far as the greatest NXT episodes and the greatest Dynamite episodes, I think both were towards the top. So there you go. Great night overall for fans. Like I said, we all won. WWE won. AEW won. Competition is good. That's what we need. We need the competition. And Robbie, to answer your question, probably Dynamite. I mean, the thing about NXT was they had Undertaker, John Cena, Paul Heyman. Those guys aren't going to be there next week. So at the end of the day, which show am I more intrigued to watch next week? That would be AEW. Do with that information as you will. And thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you enjoyed this, if you thought I did a good job, please do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up. Consider buying a new shirt over on NoDQ.com/merch. You can pick up a Say Yeah to NoDQ shirt. Oh, I think I misunderstood Robbie. Which show would I rewatch? Well, probably NXT, just to see the Undertaker segment. Like, the thing is, I had both shows on with the volume on, and I sometimes missed some of the audio, and just to be able to hear the fan reactions on NXT to Undertaker and Cena and everything. So I would probably rewatch NXT before AEW. Like, I got the gist of the AEW stuff, even without hearing everything 100%. So that's all I got, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. NoDQ.com/merch. Brand new Say Yeah to NoDQ t-shirt. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest. Wednesday night, the Dynamite normal time slot, we are doing the NoDQ review. First time ever, I believe, Wednesday night. Maybe we did it back in 2018 or early 2019. But this week, one night only, NoDQ review. We'll talk about this. Robbie's going to be on. Jeff Meacham, Virtue. My brother-in-law, I believe, will be on. So it's going to be a fun show. Check it out. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. And remember, say yeah to NoDQ.com. And I will see you all next time.